Well, I like Bill Maher. I've been on his show a bunch of times. He's a comedian, but, frankly, when it comes to the topic of religion, he's not very sophisticated in the way that he thinks. I mean, the argument about the female genital mutilation being an Islamic problem is a perfect example of that. It's not an Islamic problem, it's an African problem.
Well, wait, because he says it's a, hold on a second, Reza, because he says it's a Muslim country problem. He says that in Somalia...
Yeah, but and that's actually empirically, factually incorrect. It's a Central African problem. Eritrea has almost 90% female genital mutilation. It's a Christian country. Ethiopia has 75% female genital mutilation. It's a Christian country. Nowhere else in the Muslim majority states is female genital mutilation an issue. But again, this is the problem, is that you make these facile arguments like that.
When Reza Aslan was presented, for example, with arguments about, well, listen, female genital mutilation is quite prevalent in Muslim countries, Aslan argued that this is actually an African problem, not a Muslim problem. Now, let's look at the data, okay? Is that true? Let's analyze every claim made based on the data we have. In terms of the number of countries, there's no denying that FGM is more prevalent in Africa than in other places. However, there are still quite a few countries in the MENA region, Middle East, North Africa, and in Asia, where FGM is absolutely prevalent. Bahrain, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, the Palestinian territories, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Afghanistan, Brunei, Pakistan, prevalent or widespread female genital mutilation. It does happen in India, but it seems to be isolated to the Shia Muslim Bora community there. And Reza Aslan often holds up Indonesia as a kind of moderate Muslim counterpoint to Saudi Arabia, but female genital mutilation is prevalent in Indonesia, and there is even a mass circumcision ceremony, female circumcision ceremony, organized by Islamic foundations in Indonesia to celebrate the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. So on the facts, Lewis, much of what Reza Aslan has been peddling is just factually inaccurate.
So in addition to a long list of countries outside of Africa that do in fact practice female circumcision, the idea that happens only in Africa is false. But even when you look at Africa and compare it to Islam in Africa, I mean, if you're not seeing an overlap in these two maps, I don't know what planet you're living on. You just need to have your eyeballs checked there. And pointing to Ethiopia and Eritrea, okay, well, let's take a look at those countries, and you notice that it's not quite the Christian majority countries that we were promised. It seems much more like a 60-40, 50-50 split to me. And besides, I mean, there's 28 countries in Africa that do female circumcision. Are you trying to tell me that 14 of them are Christian and 14 of them are Muslim? That just isn't true when you actually look at the aggregate picture here. And once again, I'd like to turn it over to Sarah Hayter because I think she has another excellent point to make on this topic.
About because I read the FGM, the UNICEF study that he looked at, and my first impression was, well, it seems like they didn't really look at other countries. And so maybe I should send them an email and ask them specifically. And I did. And they told me, well, we didn't have data. We didn't have, the proper amount of data anywhere else. So we couldn't use those countries. So that's why they weren't included. Not because they didn't find FGM, just because,
right. Okay.
They didn't have it. So that's such a simple step to take, to just send an email to the study's authors and get a reply. And to me, that's a very basic level of scholarly diligence, or it's not even scholarly. It's not even at that level. And Reza Aslan wasn't able to do it. And he didn't even bother doing it because this was something that seemed like it fit in well into his agenda. And therefore it's fine.
Reza, you don't think that there's anything more, there's the justice system in Muslim countries, you don't think is somehow more primitive or subjugates women more than in other countries?
Did you hear what you just said? You said in Muslim countries. I just told you that Indonesia, women are absolutely 100% equal to men.
Aslan's behavior on that CNN clip I find really grating on the nerves because he's being so belligerent towards those two people working at CNN, and he's so wrong. He's so wrong. It's like, oh, in Indonesia, they're totally equal to men, except that's one of the countries where female circumcision is a problem. It's crazy. it's crazy that he got away with it. I mean, I've seen that clip posted to my Facebook feed at least twice from my friends who were impressed by that clip and came to the conclusion that it's horrible for you to say that FGM is an Islamic practice, even though that's crazy considering what Islamic scripture actually has to say on the subject.